I forgot her name.
Cheryl Turner?
Yeah, Cheryl Turner. President Donald Trump told reporters yesterday that he would not hesitate to walk out of a planned summit with North Korea's dictator Kim Jong-un. So after all the talks and all the hype, is there a real chance that this whole thing might not even happen? And former FBI Director James Comey's book, A Higher Loyalty, was finally released last Tuesday. But there are mounting criticism towards Comey on both sides of the aisle. And Comey might face perjury charges. And some are saying his book content might backfire and bring him legal trouble. Hi, I'm Michael Wan, your host for Michael Wan's Op-Ed Live, and this is Jeffrey Prang, our LA County Assessor, running for re-election. Our show Op-Ed Live is not about left or right, it's about what's right or wrong. Before we dive into this North Korea issue, we would like to know how your campaign is going, Jeffrey.
I think the campaign is going well. I am working really hard. I am showing up all over the county to talk about the things that I've done as assessor these last 4 years, where I believe that we've made transformative changes to this department and helped reestablish public trust. But it's a hard campaign because I'm running in a county of 11 million people, and nobody really quite knows what the assessor is.
Exactly. Many people think that it's a tax collecting business.
They do,
right? So,
which I'm not.
Yeah, so sometimes I heard that you go to events and get booed because they think that you're the tax collector. So.
Exactly. So, but I appreciate your asking. I'm optimistic that we'll win.
Okay, all right. Okay, let's get on with our first topic. So this is what Trump said at a joint news conference alongside Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe yesterday regarding the upcoming summit with North Korea. If we don't think it's going to be successful, we won't have it. If I think it's a meeting that is not going to be fruitful, we're not going to go. If the meeting, when I'm there, is not fruitful, I will respectfully leave the meeting. And Washington Post first reported, and Trump also revealed that CIA Director Mike Pompeo met with the North Korean dictator over Easter weekend in an effort to lay the groundwork for the meeting with Trump. Trump said the meeting with Kim could take place by early June. What's your take on this, Jeffrey?
So, well, I have a number of thoughts. One is I think dialogue is always constructive. Yeah. Obviously, we're in a better place today where the hype has been toned down from where we were a few months ago when the president was referring to Kim Jong-un as Little Rocket Man and talk about fire and fury. On the other side is that this approach seems to be consistent with the president's impulsive approach to all policy. It's not well thought out. He's not really talking to the experts. They don't have a plan in place for what our expectations will be, what our asks will be. It's really a very chaotic approach to what normally is a carefully crafted diplomatic scenario. And I think there's a lot of risk that things will go sideways because we have not done our homework. We have not laid the groundwork using the experts. We don't have experts on the ground. We still don't have an ambassador or even a nominee for ambassador to South Korea. Our allies are concerned. Japan was alarmed enough that the prime minister flew to Florida to meet with the president to make certain he doesn't sell Japan down the road.
I see it completely different from how you see it. I think because Trump was tough with his rhetoric, like, for instance, fire and fury and calling him Little Rocket Man in the UN speech, I think those rhetorics gave him pressure. And I think, frankly, I think Kim Jong-un got scared of Trump. And Trump has been saying this from his campaign days, that you have to put maximum pressure, which he did and which Obama did not. You know, we have to be fair. You know, I used to be an Obama supporter, but when you compare it, Trump was the one who actually did put pressure, so much sanction that it squeezed him to desperation. I think Kim Jong-un is a desperate guy. That's how I see it. So that's why out of desperation, he told the South Korean diplomats, hey, if you meet Trump, please let him know that I want to meet him. So so they relayed the message in the White House to Trump, and Trump immediately, I think it took them off guard when Trump immediately took it and said, okay, let's meet in May. And I think it put them on the defense and America on the offense, and I give Trump credit for that. I believe that if it was other presidents, for instance, like Barack Obama or George W. Bush or even Bill Clinton, I don't think they could have made this happen. You know, I told you I'm a Trump supporter. You know, because I just didn't like the establishment. You know, I didn't like the establishment candidates. I was Trump or Bernie guy. So, you know, even back in the 2016 election cycle. So I give Trump credit for this happening, but I even give him credit yesterday during his press conference with Shinzo Abe that he might leave the summit if he feels it's not fruitful. So I think the country is headed towards the right direction regarding the North Korea issue.
I think that that his tactics may end up providing a positive benefit, but Donald Trump is reckless. His strategy was not a devised, planned strategy.
But he had a lot of people around him, H.R. McMaster.
Yeah, but they weren't pushing him to threaten fire and fury. He's like a crazy guy running around with a knife, and people will get out of the way because they don't want to be stabbed. And maybe that will have the right impact, but it's not because it was a brilliant policy. It's because he's a little bit of a nut, and the North Koreans are just as afraid of an unbalanced world leader as we are of unbalanced world leaders.
So what you're saying is Trump using, many people thought that he was using this madman tactic, right? A crazy man tactic to scare off Kim Jong-un. I think it could be seen as a tactic. It could be seen, like you said, impulsiveness. But probably regarding North Korea, we have been too patient. Appeasement didn't work with North Korea. We always gave them everything they wanted. We gave them, isn't it like $50 billion? Is it $50 billion back in '94 when they made the treaty? It all did not work. So it was like kicking the can down the road. And Trump said, I'm not going to kick this down to the next administration. I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to make sure that this Kim Jong-un thing, I will resolve this.
I will stipulate that you are right. Past administrations could have been tougher. I believe that there are other strategies we could have employed. I do not believe that Donald Trump is employing a tactic. I think Donald Trump functions solely on impulse, and his impulse is to be thuggish and to be a bully. And in some cases, that will work. I doubt he sat down with McMaster or with Rex Tillerson or anyone else and said, let's come up with a plan for North Korea. I think he just says whatever comes to his mind. And that is very unsettling, not only to us as Americans, it is unsettling to the North Koreans, it's unsettling to the Japanese. It may end up having the impact that we want, but there's a real danger in having somebody who functions on impulse as opposed to listening to experts. I agree that we should have been more assertive, but I'd like to be more assertive in a thoughtful, deliberate manner, using people who are experts in dealing with the North Koreans to help us to devise an appropriate strategy.
Okay, so Trump has been saying that he wants peace through strength, and I don't think it's just Trump being that way. The people that he surrounded recently, with the new National Security Advisor, John Bolton, he's a very hawkish guy, and also he was actually the one who said we should attack North Korea. I remember back in February when he came out with the Wall Street Journal op-ed that he said, we should, legally, America can attack North Korea. He was defending Trump on that. And there was another, Mike Pompeo. He's going to be probably our next Secretary of State, right? I think there's a Senate committee vote on Monday. I think he would probably make it, but he only needs like 51 votes. So, but I think Rand Paul and Jeff Flake, these senators said they don't know, they're not sure about Mike Pompeo, but I think they would probably vote for him. He was also a hawkish guy. He also once said that we should consider our options, and he sounded like attacking. We should have those options, attacking North Korea before they become more of a threat. So I think Trump probably he did listen. I agree with you that probably Rex Tillerson, the former Secretary of State, and also the former National Security Advisor, H.R. McMaster, I think they advised him not to go to this aggressive path. But he decided, ultimately, Americans voted for him, right? So pretty much they decided to go on with what the president saying. This is our system. Even though of course, there are people like you or many people who are against him. Our political system is ultimately, especially regarding foreign relations, president has a final say.
Although, at the same time, we're a democracy, and the opposition, their opinion does not count for 4 years because somebody else won. The opposition still has the right to make their argument and to try to block strategies that they think are unsound. And I do believe, the one thing I'll say about Mike Pompeo, I don't agree with his past statements and his approach to foreign affairs, but I have more confidence that he approaches it within normal diplomatic parameters that give me a sense of confidence that he's at least rational.
But I'm just saying this. My argument is if we keep on repeating the diplomatic side of with North Korea, a rogue country like North Korea, which they are a bully. You know, they are a murderous regime, a brutal regime, where Kim Jong-un just kills his relatives and anybody that he wants to. With this kind of out of control regime, I don't think those kind of diplomatic approach works. It would work with probably South Korea, Japan, Germany, France, these reasonable countries, these advanced countries. But with a country that is impoverished like North Korea, it has been a dictatorship. It has been under a brutal dictatorship for like the past, for decades. So with this kind of country, you have to meet force with force. So I agreed with Trump's approach with this, and I think that's what brought South Korea and North Korea summit that's coming up next week on Friday, and then also the summit.
I think there's a difference between meeting force with force, which I don't agree with. North Korea has nuclear weapons, and I don't believe that playing this game of brinksmanship that put the people's lives in South Korea, in Japan, or the United States at risk of a nuclear incursion is reasonable. We have to protect the lives of people in this country and other countries in dealing with North Korea. Yes, we should be firm. Yes, we should be firmer than we have been. But a reckless, undisciplined approach to a very dangerous situation puts us at a lot of risk. Now, we have an opportunity here, whether or not, Trump has not demonstrated to me that he has the discipline, the focus, or the strategic thinking to approach this summit very thoughtfully. I hope that that's not going to be the case. I do believe active engagement is important. We'll see whether or not he's going to listen to our allies, listen to diplomatic experts in Washington to help focus our efforts.
I think we can see it on both views. I understand your point of view. I know I have so many liberal friends. In fact, I have more liberal and Democratic
You should listen
friends.
to them.
I'm an independent. I don't think Obama was a successful president. I'm sorry. I supported him back in 2008 and 2012, especially regarding the foreign relations. I don't think it really actually worked, even against North Korea and even Iran, but that's another story. I think Kim Jong-un backed down. Look at him. He didn't test ICBM or nuclear after he decided to have talks with Trump. So I think it seems to be working, and CNN just had a breaking news just moments ago that Kim Jong-un would not demand U.S. troop leaving from South Korea. So I think the thing is going well, and I think South Koreans are happy that they're even talking about ending of war, right? End of war. So that is something that many people from South Korea wanted, and even in the United States and also North Korea wanted. So something might come up with this. And they're even talking about Nobel Peace Prize between, I know you might hate that sound of it, but they're even talking about Trump and Kim Jong-un might get it,
A bit premature, but it's important to recognize that Kim Jong-un has already won. He has been craving international attention. He and his father and his grandfather have been craving the attention of the major powers for generations. He now has got the President of the United States to agree with him to sit down without any terms or conditions, which for North Korea is a huge victory. He wins no matter what. I will say that the one thing that I believe that if I were advising the President on this meeting, I think the first premise of any meeting should be to formally end the war. The war ended by an armistice. We could just declare that hostilities are formally over. We could talk about creating a more constructive method of dialogue, maybe even some exchange of lower-level diplomatic personnel. But that is something we could all agree on, that the war has been ended for 60 years. Let's just formally end it.
Do you like the idea of probably in the future putting an embassy in Pyongyang and Pyongyang having an embassy here in the States?
I believe the interest of humanity and peace indicates that we should be constructively engaged with every country. And the best way to do that is through diplomatic channels. I think it would be helpful if we could get to a point where we could have full diplomatic relations with the North. Obviously, we have to formally end the conflict and come up with a constructive, mutually agreeable set of conditions for both countries.
Where do you think the summit should be held? They're talking about, North Korea wanted Pyongyang, but I don't think America would like it. Trump said no, Washington, D.C., not in the White House. So where do you think they should meet?
I don't know if I have strong feelings about that, but it may perhaps a neutral third-party country. I've heard Switzerland, Sweden, Singapore, they all seem Mongolia, fine. Yeah. I don't know why China couldn't host it. Maybe there's some reasons why that's a problem. I don't know.
Yeah, it is remain to be seen, and it's going to be pretty sure that we're going to be all watching TV live between the meeting.
It will be
Trump and
it'll be
Kim
good.
Jong-un.
It'll be good television.
Good television. You're right. And some people are saying that the ratings would be even higher than the Super Bowl. So let's see.
Could be.
Okay, we move on to our next topic. Former FBI Director Comey is back in the news. And this is what Fox News reported today. Whether the former FBI chief is blasting President Trump as morally unfit to hold his elected office or trashing his former right-hand man, Andrew McCabe, as a liar, revealing private conversations with his old boss, former Attorney General Loretta Lynch, or criticizing former President Barack Obama, Comey seems to be warring with everyone on both sides of the aisle. Comey's outspokenness in the wake of his book release could pose a problem for him in the coming weeks, as the Justice Department Inspector General report on the FBI's handling of the investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email server is expected to become public. I heard that it's going to come out in May. What's your thought on this, Jeffrey?
Well, let me first say that remember that in 2016, Comey was the darling of Donald Trump, of Fox News, and the Republicans, and so their effort now to somehow discredit him as a professional seems a bit shallow.
But didn't the Democrats do that too?
The Democrats did as well. I think my sense is that Comey is an honorable man.
You do? Oh, okay.
And I think he made mistakes. I was horrified by what he did during the campaign dealing with the Hillary investigation. I listened to his explanation on both the Late Show as well as with George Stephanopoulos, and I fundamentally disagreed with his approach. And he acknowledged that there were different ways to view that. I do not believe that his investigation into the Russian matters was misguided. It seemed to be a reasonable response for a federal law enforcement agency to move. The decisions that were made did not seem to be inappropriate at the time, in this attempt to vilify him, to make him sound like he was a slime ball or engaged in some sort of conspiracy, I think is just really misguided.
I think he's a pompous, self-righteous person. I did have good respect for him before this whole scandal came about, but look at the things that he's been saying. I mean, he said that Hillary Clinton's. I mean, he criticized everybody, like in the book, Obama, Loretta Lynch, his boss, and Donald. Not even just Trump. It's Trump, Obama, Loretta Lynch, and also what's the other guy? Andrew McCabe, his BFF. So Comey criticized Loretta Lynch publicly, beginning during his Senate testimony last year and continuing in the book where he goes after Lynch for her directive to call the Clinton email probe a matter rather than an investigation. You heard about this. What do you think about this?
I think I'm not a defender of James Comey by any means, but I think he was right. I think as the Attorney General, she needed to be. She shouldn't
have said matter, right?
She should have allowed it to be called what it was. She should not have met with Bill Clinton on the airplane. Yeah. She made, whether they were huge problems or not, they provided the wrong image and wrong optics for the chief law enforcement officer of the country. That doesn't. I don't see that. I don't believe that's an attack. I believe that is simply commentary based on actions that he observed.
Do you think Bill Clinton promised Loretta Lynch a Supreme Court justice position? Some people are even arguing.
I think
that's
so.
Crazy. Is that conspiracy theory?
It's conspiracy and speculative. We have no idea what they're
talking. But I don't understand why they even met. Isn't it crazy, Jeffrey? If it happened to you, wouldn't you get angry if you were on the other side of the aisle? You have this upcoming, judgment coming.
Loretta Lynch should have told him, "Don't come on the airplane." However, I also can see, you and I don't have any information about this. We're simply speculating. It could be, he knows her. His wife was part of the cabinet. He probably said, hey, we're both on this tarmac at the same height. I'm just going to scamper over there to say hello to Loretta. Wouldn't that be cool?
They said they talked about golf and their grandkids. Does it take 39 minutes to talk about that? I would give them 5-minute tops. And they talked about all kinds of politics regarding Hillary. That's what I think.
We don't know what they talked about. What we do know is that the optics were bad.
Okay.
And however, they were friends. They knew one another. It is not unreasonable to think that they would want to visit with one another. It was just weird. And I agree. And I will agree that was weird. What happened to it, all we know is what they told us.
Okay. I think regarding this, I'm with Comey on this. I think Lynch should not have called it a matter when it's an investigation.
I agree.
That in itself looks very biased. But okay, let's move on to the second one. So Comey, for the first time in the book, publicly ripped Obama for having jeopardized the Justice Department's credibility during the investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email server. Comey criticized Obama for giving 2 media interviews suggesting there was no there there in the Clinton email probe. I remember Obama giving these 2 interviews.
Well,
I agree with Comey on this one.
I think that's the pot calling the kettle black. Comey also, if Obama stated things, which I don't think I agree with that. I think he commented in response to the press, and I think his comments were not unreasonable. I think what Comey did to stand up and give commentary about his investigation to Hillary, when he should have stuck to the facts. Instead, he made comments about her judgment, which was not his charge. His charge was not to judge her motivation or her decisions. It was to judge the facts. And so he put opinion out. And then when he decided 10 days before the election to say he's reopening the case, he should have known that was going to have a huge impact. I listened to his response, and I could see that I believe that the man struggled with that decision. I believe he struggled and failed and made the wrong decision. So I don't doubt his authenticity. I don't doubt that what he said he did was authentic. I just think he was wrong, and I think there was a bit of hubris.
Do you think it's okay for an former FBI director to release a tell-all book? For me, that in itself is something inherently wrong. I mean, if you're a politician, I would agree. I mean, I could understand it, but you just got out of the FBI, and you write a tell-all book, writing about everything about Donald Trump's hand size, and Donald Trump's skin is so orange, and he had this white, he might have put some goggles, and his necktie is do you think it's okay for a former FBI director to write about that?
I do, because I think in the interest of accountability and transparency and a democracy, the American public should have the right to know how the inner workings of our government work.
That's a fair
point. He did the right thing. He had his book vetted by the Justice Department, by the FBI, to make sure that there was nothing in it that was going to compromise national security. He didn't write it and publish it. He took it through channels to make sure that he didn't violate his oath and his charge. So I don't have a problem with that.
So by Wednesday, Comey moved on to his former deputy, his BFF, Andrew McCabe, the deputy director for the FBI, who was fired last month, right, by Jeff Sessions. I mean, that's another story. But you remember, all the mainstream media criticized Trump, that Trump was the one who fired. But it was revealed that it was Comey's investigation that brought his ouster. But anyway, Comey revealed Wednesday that he was the one to order the Inspector General investigation into the media leak that ultimately led to McCabe's ouster. What do you think about this one?
So there's a couple things with McCabe. He clearly made some errors, and I'm not as well versed on all the issues dealing with McCabe. Well, a little bit I've read, he clearly made some mistakes.
Because he leaked the information to Wall Street Journal that was more in his self-interest. Right?
That one I'm not sure I agree with. I think I concur with his statement that as the chief deputy, his job was to communicate with the media, and he conveyed information to the media that was within the parameters that they normally would reveal. As somebody who works in government, who deals with government disciplinary issues, it occurs to me that what I can see, and I don't know everything, we haven't seen his personnel file, that he made mistakes that merited discipline. I don't know that merited being terminated. In government, you don't terminate people that easily. You go through a disciplinary process. I think his firing was probably political. His discipline may have been deserved.
But he lied under oath 3 times to the FBI, the feds. If a normal person, if you lied to the feds, and if I lied to the feds, we go to jail, regardless. Yeah. But how come we have to set a different standard to Andrew McCabe just because he's a deputy director for the FBI? I think it doesn't match.
I can't speak to those facts because I'm not familiar with them.
Oh, it was. So you watched James Comey's interview. You watched James Comey's interview. Yeah. I'm going with James Comey's interview. When he talked with ABC The View, did you watch that one with
no.
with I forgot the ladies' names. Meghan McCain and the other ladies there, Whoopi Goldberg. I think James Comey said McCabe lied. McCabe lied, and lying to the feds brings serious consequences. So. It's not just the reports. He actually said it from his mouth that McCabe lied. So I think he is facing serious consequences.
It could be. Again, I'm not familiar with those allegations.
All right. Okay. And what do you think about? What did you think about James Comey not bringing charges against Hillary Clinton? I told you, I supported Bernie in the primary. So I was very angry when they did not bring charges because I thought when he read the letter, it sounded like he was going to charge her, but then
I think that I agree with his final conclusion that she made mistakes, but they weren't criminal in nature. That I believe that.
But didn't she destroy evidences? Like she hammered her BlackBerry in a mom and pop shop bathroom closet, with a hammer, and she used a software program called BleachBit to erase all the emails.
I'm not familiar with that.
You should know that. I think you should know that, and then we should talk about this again. So that is the reason why, I used to love Hillary Clinton. I used to support Bill and Hillary Clinton. I thought they were like, you remember back in the 90s, they looked like this shiny couple, They looked so hopeful, and America was doing really well during the Clinton era, especially economically wise. But these kind of behaviors, Hillary people, this is fact. This is not made up. She destroyed her BlackBerry in a mom and pop shop bathroom closet with a hammer, and they used a program called BleachBit to erase all her email informations. And when the feds asked her to give the phone, they pulled out the SIM card and gave an empty phone. How can a phone be useful when you pull out a SIM card? For me, those kind of shenanigans. That's why I tell my audience, our op-ed live is not about left or right. It's about being right or wrong. It's because I just track down those corruption. I mean, I think people can be liberal and and conservative. I have a liberal side on some issues and a conservative side on some issues. But when you do those and people see that, and James Comey did not bring charges against those. I think if I use a hammer and destroy my evidences, I think I would get charged, and you would get charged, and everybody else would get charged.
I think the challenge that
why this double standard?
Well, I don't know if there is, but what I do think is happening is everybody wants to see every issue, every individual in black and white, good, bad, right, wrong, and it's not that case. Sometimes good people make mistakes. Sometimes they make a misguided mistake that may be wrong. Maybe it's something we don't endorse, but it doesn't make it illegal. And I don't know what Hillary did. I cannot speak to those specific issues.
Yeah, I know what she did. That's why it makes me angry.
That's not part of the evidence that I've been reading. I've not heard. There's a talk of missing emails, but her breaking a cell phone and bleaching out information is not something in the public record that I've read.
It is in the public record. The Attorney General office came out.
But anyway, Fox News and Fox News is not.
No, even the other, like CNN and outlets like New York Times and Washington Post, they reported about it. So. But we can talk about this next time. Okay. So anyway, I think James Comey is very unpopular among Republicans and Democrats. This is what former special counsel to former President Bill Clinton, Lanny Davis, said. It's time accurately to call Comey a liar for this crucial, self-serving rationalization for his action that made Donald Trump president. He wrote in an op-ed this weekend.
I do not believe that Comey is a liar, and I don't believe he is corrupt. I believe he made bad judgments. I do not support many things he did in his career, but I do not believe that this man is disingenuous. I don't believe he's unethical. I think he made the decisions that he thought were right, even though I may think they were wrong. I think he applied his best judgment and good faith in the decisions he made, and as a result, he ended up making everybody mad throughout the whole country. But it doesn't mean, this attempt to smear his reputation or his motivation, I think, is wrong and misguided. We can disagree with him, but it doesn't mean he's a bad person.
Okay, I think, Comey to call a sitting president, I've never seen a former FBI director criticizing a sitting president, morally unfit. And I think those words are, if it comes from a political commentator or, between you and me or, somebody else, it's okay. But for a former FBI director to do that, I think it sets a wrong precedent, and other people might do it in the future. And I don't think it's good for the country.
I don't think it's necessarily good. I think it's necessary. He's a former director. He is no longer part of the government. His book was intended to be revealing and to be transparent and show what's going in the inner workings of government. And for a man who sat in the very office of the President of the United States, his insight is instructive. And I believe that he is correct. I think that Donald Trump is morally unfit to be the president. And I think it's important for people who are in the room with him to report that back to us so we can make better decisions.
I think there's something more important coming up in on June 5th. We would like to hear some of your words. Do you have any last words for us?
Sure. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to come on here. It's not often that the county assessor gets to comment on international and issues of national importance, but I'm very grateful for that.
I'm happy to give you a chance.
But I hope that on June the 5th, you will have an opportunity to go to the polls to elect your next assessor. I am the incumbent assessor. I'm hoping to earn the support of the people of Los Angeles County. I think if you look at the work that I've done as assessor, people can feel good that we are bringing an ethical standard to the office. We're transforming the office in terms of technology. We've helped to lower property taxes for small businesses. We've increased transparency by putting our data on our website so it's open and accessible to members of the public. And we've increased public service, so if you need to reach my office and you have questions, we're going to help you. So I think that message will resonate with the people in the county, and I hope that they return me to office on June 5th.
And Jeffrey, how many candidates? It's finalized, right?
There's 4 candidates. There's me, and there's three other candidates. They're employees of the office who've each run before. And if I get 50% plus 1,
then you can finish the whole thing in the primary.
That's
right?
correct. If I get less than 50%, then there'll be a runoff in November.
Who's your primary opponent that in your mind?
I think that well, it's hard to determine. They're all 3 entry-level appraisers in the office. Their names are Sandy Sun, Krish Kumar, and John Lowe. None of them have very viable campaigns that I can tell at the moment. I don't know that one is necessarily stronger than the other. I think they're all fine employees, and I don't think theirs have the right vision or the experience to be the assessor, but I don't know that one is stronger than the other.
Okay. Well, that's our show for today, and our show, Op-Ed Live, it's not about left or right, it's about what's right or wrong. To stay up to date with our latest videos, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you.
Thank you.